About 15 years ago, I was living in the high desert of Los Angeles County, attending college full-time and working two jobs. One of those jobs was as a night security guard at a church campus that also had a private school on the property. The campus was pretty big, with several buildings, playgrounds, and parking lots. It had two main entrances, one on the west side and another on the north side. My job was to patrol the area, making sure everything was safe and secure during the night. At night, we would close the gate on the north side and station a guard in a car nearby to prevent break-ins and guide any traffic to the main entrance. The north side of the property had a few old trailer buildings that the church had bought second-hand and converted into classrooms. These trailers were a bit run down and often needed repairs. One of them in particular was always causing issues, whether it was strange noises, faulty lights, or doors that wouldn't stay locked. So this building became the main source of problems during my night shifts. Whenever I was stationed at the back entrance, I would get a strong feeling that someone was watching me. It was so intense that my hair would stand on end. I'd get goosebumps, and I'd feel really paranoid. It was clear I was being watched, and it didn't feel like I was welcomed there. I wasn't the only one who felt this way. Most of the crew experienced it too. So, eventually, we decided to investigate it more seriously. Whenever there was a new guy, we would assign him to the back entrance on his first night without telling him anything. And after a few hours, we'd drive by to see how he was doing, and he'd usually look nervous, or he would have moved the car. So it wasn't facing the building. Now, part of our job was to make sure all the doors of the buildings were locked, and if they weren't, we had to go inside to ensure no one was staying there. But this particular building was always strange. Like lights would turn on or flicker in the middle of the night, and inside chairs and desk would be slightly move around. Like desk would be crooked, or chairs pulled out. Then, one night when I was back there, I locked the building, but when I checked it later, the door was unlocked. Now, I had to go inside and see what was going on. The place felt creepy, especially at night, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right by now. I was really scared, and I could tell whatever was in there was angry. I called in another guard, and we entered the building in together, checking every corner and closet, but didn't find anything out of place. As we were heading back to the front door, we suddenly heard a loud, noticeable creak from the floor. Like someone had just taken a step, we froze looking around, but saw nothing. The sound felt unsettling, especially after everything else that had happened. Then we heard a sound that was like blowing air or wind moving quickly above the ceiling tiles from that classroom towards us. When it reached right above us, it suddenly stopped and went completely silent. It wasn't the AC system, because the ducts weren't in that part of the ceiling and the system was turned off. We ran out of there as fast as we could. I'm not saying it was a ghost or a spirit, but something was definitely in that building, and it felt really... When I was around 21, I used to live in a small 2-bedroom apartment with my 15-year-old sister, and our mom. How we ended up there is a whole other story, but we had to make do with what we had. The apartment complex was in the same town where I grew up, so I was familiar with the area. The complex wasn't the nicest, the paint was peeling, and some of the neighbors were loud, but it wasn't the worst place either. And also, I felt safer knowing that we often saw security guards walking around the complex. The laundry rooms were only in few buildings, and our building didn't have one, so I had to walk to a different building to do my laundry. I usually did my laundry late at night when it was quiet. Now it was a bit scary, walking around in the dark, but seeing the security guards made me feel more at ease. I lived on the top floor, so every time I needed to do laundry, I had to carry my laundry basket down 5 flights of stairs. Then I'd walk outside to the next building, and go down to the basement level where the laundry room was. It wasn't easy, especially at night, but I got used to it then. One day I noticed a new security guard patrolling the area. He stood out because he was a big guy, probably around 63 and very muscular. If you need a better picture, he looked like a mixed version of Mr. Clean with a bald head and a tough noons look. He didn't really talk to the residents or say hello, which made him seem a bit scary and intimidating. But I guess that was good for job. My friend lived in the same complex in a building behind mine. There was a small playground and a tennis court between the front buildings, like mine, and the back buildings where she lived one night around 10 p.m., my friend called me to say she went to do her laundry and saw the security guard hanging around the building. She needed to go into now. The guards were only supposed to patrol outside and only go inside a building if they saw something suspicious. And also, they had keys to the main building doors but didn't have keys for the laundry rooms, or at least that's what we were told. He followed her into the laundry room and she yelled at him and threatened to call management if he didn't leave. She said he just stared at her and then left the building without saying anything. A few weeks later, I got home from work around 9:30 p.m. when I pulled into the parking lot. I noticed that the power was out the whole parking lot and all the buildings were completely dark with no lights at all. It was so dark that I couldn't see anything around me to stay safe. I decided to back my car into a parking spot. This way I could keep a clear view of my building from inside the car, just in case anything seemed off. I was a bit unsure about getting out of the car as I had a few things with me, like bags of hair products I bought at work, some food, I picked up my water bottle, and my purse, and I knew it would take a few minutes to gather everything and lock up the car, and there was one man in particular looked very strung out and unpredictable. So I was worried about running into him when it was so dark, so I called my mom hoping she could come down and open the door for me, but she didn't pick up. I didn't bother calling my sister because she never answers her phone anyway. I sat in the car trying to figure out my next move. By then, my eyes had adjusted to the darkness and I decided to stop being so scared and just go inside. As I was gathering my things, the power suddenly came back on and I felt a huge sense of relief. But when I looked at the windows of my building, that relief quickly turned into fear and suspicion. I saw the same security guard who had followed my friend standing on our top floor landing and staring at our door. There were 3 other doors on my floor, but he was standing right in front of ours. He didn't move for a few seconds and just stared at our door with his head leaning forward, like he was trying to listen through it. He then slowly turned and walked downstairs. I tried calling my mom again, and she picked up this time. I quickly told her about the security guard and what I had seen. She then came down right away to get me, and then called building management to report the situation. After that, I never saw the security guard again. I'm not sure if he quit, got fired, or was reassigned. It turns out that other residents had strange experiences with him too. From all the true crime stories I've seen, there are often cases involving apartment or hotel maintenance and security staff. So it's important to stay alert in a job like this. It lets people get very close to you and your home, which can be not good sometimes, while getting access to apartment keys isn't easy. It's not impossible. People with bad intentions might seek out jobs that give them the opportunity to get close to others, like maintenance or security roles. It's really unsettling to think that someone could use their position to invade your privacy or make you feel